That's true. I am very ever since I deleted Facebook, I deleted Twitter first,
Yep.
and that was okay. And then once I deleted Facebook, it was just like the chains they just fell. The chains just fell.
Yeah, I'm really close to deleting YouTube, but I don't know where we're gonna live stream.
Yeah, I'm hesitating on YouTube for just a little bit, but I get it for you because we'll talk about this, I'm sure. But you're getting censored over there for quoting laws.
Yes. Okay, I'll just do a little introduction and then we'll get into that because that's really funny. Yeah, it totally is. Welcome to Reformed Jellicle, where the Reformed evangelicals meet. My name is Matt Williams. I'm co-hosted by the chipper AD Robles.
Doing great.
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
You are doing fantastic. You're doing way better than I am because I'm still on 2 more social media sites than you, and so
that's right.
I'm that many deviations more depressed.
That's right. That's right. You've got a little bit more despair to chip through.
Yeah,
I'm over here like skipping through La La Land. Like it's just great.
It is great. You know, there's those studies out where you are more depressed normally if you're like on social media more often than not. So it's got to be conversely true. The less you're on it, the more happy you are. So I expect you to be the happy one on this show going forward.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe I'll get some glasses on here. Hold on.
I love it.
Social media is doing great. Listen, I'm on Gab. These are green glasses. You know, we're just gabbing away. We're gabbing away, laughing at memes. Memes are going to be responsible for destroying the entire civilization, apparently. So
apparently,
might as well enjoy the ride.
Oh my gosh! And we just got to keep doing it too. I don't think we need to stop. Memes are so powerful. I never realized. Like I knew they were conveying messages, and they were really great at that. I didn't realize how powerful they are, and I'm really serious about that. It is amazing how powerful they've been the last year.
You can tell that the powers that be are terrified of memes. Because they know they can't control the memes. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you right now, I was talking to my brother, privately. I won't tell you too much about the conversation, but we were both saying that, Donald Trump, I don't want to talk too much about him today, but he was the perfect candidate for president for the internet era.
Yeah.
He's a walking meme. You know what I mean? He knows how to harness that stuff, man. It's just great.
Yeah, get this. So I heard this floating probably like 20 minutes ago. He's going to be the president of the world and be the populist president, which is going to be even greater memes. But this is how you know memes are so impactful and powerful. Is the FBI just arrested someone who did a meme from 4 years ago? Yeah,
it's insane. It's absolutely insane. We were all having a good chuckle when that weirdo, what was his name? Carpe Donktum or whatever his name was. He was a weird.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he got arrested in the UK for teaching his dog to do the Heil Hitler. You know what I mean? So his dog would raise his hand just like this every time he said that. It's a stupid joke. I mean, I don't think it's funny. I wouldn't have laughed if I saw it, but arrested, like could be put in prison for years. Like they were talking about a serious prison sentence for him. And I don't think it actually happened, but he had to go to court numerous times. Like it's just ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure you still have to pay money in England. I know it's socialist and you don't have to pay for healthcare, but I'm sure you have to pay for your attorney fees. So
it was Count Dankula. That's what it was. Count Dankula.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I think he went to Parler before Parler got nuked.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. He did.
Yep, definitely. And so this guy in the FBI, I mean, I think he could be up to 10 years in jail. Could you imagine going 10 years to prison for a meme from 4 years ago?
I shouldn't laugh because it's actually a serious situation for him, but you could tell that the powers that be are very desperate. They want to get control of this thing,
Yeah, we should also not laugh because we're next.
That's true.
Could you imagine what they get us for?
I mean, listen, I'm not even a meme lord. Like, I just say crazy things. You know what I mean?
I know. We are like self-wiretapping ourselves. And we throw it on the internet.
Right.
We're like, here.
Yeah, we're not even joking. We're serious.
No, we're serious. Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Thank you for everyone who's joining us live. I was dead once. Hey, from Texas. Mark, hi, we see you. Are you two memes? I mean, yeah, look at those glasses. Of course we're two memes. Yeah, I was at the Founders Conference, which I highly recommend.
Yeah,
highly recommend.
Man.
Yeah, you need to go next time. So many people 80 ask me, where are you? It's like we can only travel in pairs.
Yeah, no, I wish I would have gone, man. Like I always gotta like decide what to do. You know, when you have kids, It's like you have to decide where to go and when to travel. Like if I was single, I'd do everything, but I can't. Yeah, I can't do that anymore.
Opportunity cost. Jammy Starfish is watching with 6-year-old son. Is that okay? I think so. I don't think there's going to be anything too provocative.
No.
I'm just drinking grape juice.
We don't curse or anything like that, but every now and then there'll be, what, I'll tell you what, if we're going to talk about something adult, we'll let you know. Earmuffs, you put the earmuffs, is all good.
Okay. Remind me if we end up doing that you might need to warn someone. So I might just jump right into it. But this is what I wanted to say. And I was thinking about this, the Founders Conference. And I'm not just saying the Founders Conference, but even the Fight, Laugh, Feast Conference, any of these conferences that are edifying, where you're singing worship, where you're doing things, not just listening, but you're actually participating in corporate worship and those things. I think it is so important for us to be doing those things now more than ever in the time that we're in, especially for those of you who aren't meeting at churches, which you should be. And if you have to drive an hour somewhere, you should be doing it. But I'm still on that Glenn Sunshine kick where everything has meaning, to spiritual meaning to it. Everything has enchantment was what he said.
Yeah.
And how much more true is that of worshiping God? And if it is true that worship is warfare, then there's significant importance to coming together and worship. And I was just thinking about that as we were worshiping God together with 1,400 people in the midst of people telling you not to worship, in the midst of saying not to meet, wear 4 masks now. I think that's the number we're on now. Now we have to wear 4 masks.
Yeah. We'll see you next week when it's like 8.
Yeah, I know. Dude, this is 6-minute abs, man. It's something about Mary. That's all this is. What about 7-minute abs? It's like, what about 5 masks?
I mean, you can double your gains, man.
But we are in a spiritual war, obviously, right? I mean, the Bible said that from when it was written.
Let me tell you this. So this is a sad story. It's a good story because I'm at the right church, but it's a sad story. So after church on Sunday, I went to one of our friends' house. They've got a bunch of kids, and then our pastor came over later, and they live in my church is in a winter wonderland. Like they're in the mountains. There's snow. There's 3-4 feet of snow. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Anyway, so we were going, snowmobiling and stuff. And it was great. And I was talking to my pastor on the side a little bit, and he told me we had a visitor, and he was a pastor from a church in North Carolina. He was just up here skiing. You know what I mean? Because we're in the skiing winter wonderland. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Anyway, so he asked him, how'd you find us? And he goes, he kind of like looked ashamed, and he's like, well, I got to be honest with you. The only reason I came to this church is because I looked for churches, and this was the only one that was open. Like, there's nothing. Basically, he was saying there's nothing special about you except you were open,
right?
And it's like, man, that's pretty pitiful, man. Like in the old days, we used to like say, okay, I'm on vacation, I'm gonna look for a church, and I gotta check the website just to make sure there's no women pastors or something like that, or anything crazy. And when you go, you never know what you're going to get. It could be charismatic. You don't know because they don't really put that on the website typically.
Right.
But nowadays, the deciding factor, are you open or not? Right. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how I know if you're legit or not. That's sad. Yeah. That's sad, man.
It is sad. I don't even go to the website. You just go to Google Maps and see if it says closed or not. And you're like, oh, right. I'm going. It's open.
Google it, man. It's closed or not.
Yeah. At this point, if a church has on their landing page website a girl squawking like an eagle and it's open, I'm still going.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Female pastors or not. If they're open, they're open. You know what I mean? No, it's true. It's pretty sad. And it's just like, man. And I talked to him too, because, we closed for a few weeks. I think I talked to him, and he thinks we closed for 2 months. I think it was 8 weeks or something like that. And I asked him about that, and he said, yeah, man, listen, I'm going to give myself a lot of leeway there because we didn't know what it was, but I regret it. I would never do it again. It doesn't matter how serious it is. I'm never doing it again. And I'm like, good on you, man. And he was telling me about that pastor from China, the one that's been arrested for a long time. Yeah. And the one thing he says that he would never do is ever forsake the public assembly. No matter what they do, never, ever forsake it. And it's like, man, like that guy gets it, man. That guy's in prison. He's probably in a slave camp right now being beaten. And he's like, no matter what, don't close it. And we're over here like, yeah, but I might get the sniffles.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Vodi Bakum spoke several times, and I just have to say, Vodi Bakum.
Wait, hold on. What color is that guy's skin? I need to know before I can decide whether to
it
take
depends on who you ask. If you ask us normal people, he's black. If you ask the social justice people, he's white.
Jamar Tisby's that guy's white as white can be. Dude. All right, go ahead.
But I was just saying, it was so good to hear him speak about other things besides black issues, and he was fantastic.
Good.
But one of the things that he was talking about, and it was so convicting. Actually, there were several different things because he talked had 5 talks or something like that. But one of the things he was saying is, if we are dead, like, what can you do to us? And he wasn't necessarily talking about not getting sick, but even with persecution and with standing up for Christ and not bowing down and willing to give up everything. Like, if we actually believe that we are taking up our cross and following Christ, if we actually believe that we're counting this world as loss, and to die is Christ, or to die is, what is it? I'm mixing it up now. To live is Christ. To die is gain. Yeah, thank you. Gain. Like, if we actually believe this stuff, then our lives would be looking radically different. And I'm just throwing that in there with church service. If we really believed that to die is to be with the Lord, to live for the Christ and die is gain, if we really believe that, then we would be going to church.
Yeah, man.
Going to church.
And listen, I'm all about. Listen, it's okay to criticize other people, but I'm all about taking responsibility for myself. And I'll tell you right now, if I really believe that, with every fiber, my life would look different. And so I need to consider that in every move that I make, man. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember us having these conversations, and I remember being so unsure about what the right answer was. Do you remember us talking about it? We were just not clear about it. We had no idea. We've never been through this before.
Yeah, no, I remember. And I remember I hedged a lot. I was like, yeah, I can certainly understand if someone would want to close, stupid limp wristed, like squishy stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That's how I got away with it. And it's always I did a video about this, how I'm embarrassed when people say, AD, thank you for your bold stance. And I don't feel like I was bold, because I feel like I knew better when I wasn't saying better. You know what I mean? I feel like I knew better, and I caved. And so I'll never do it again. I just have to listen. I got to get over the fact that I failed in the past, and you got to move forward.
Yeah. You know what's funny is you are definitely not known as being one of the squishy ones on the internet, but you're one of the few people that ever admit to being squishy.
Yeah, man. I know. I feel it sometimes, man. I do. I don't think I'm like the squishiest person out there, but I feel like I get more credit than I deserve. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. But I just love it because a lot of us have gone through this now. Yeah. And the people that are open now are saying never again. And I think that's great. That's the best that I think we can hope for in unclear situations is we try to figure it out. We go through it. We give each other grace, and then we learn from it. And then we act differently going forward.
Amen. And I try to learn from your mistakes. That's all you can do, man. Like we're all going to be infallible. We're all going to cave to pressure. We're all going to be a little bit wimpy from time to time, but you just got to learn from it. You know what I mean? I was looking at some of my old content about some of the stuff that Jonathan Lehman was saying and some of the stuff Russell Moore was saying. I watched a bunch of my content from at the beginning of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, like I was pretty hard on them at the time. And I'm like, if they don't learn the lesson, then I'm going to be like 4 times as hard on them next time. Like it's like, okay, I get it. You were scared. I get it. We were all kind of scared, but like, if you don't learn the lesson though, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to be Jonathan Lehman in the future. I'll tell you that right now.
Yep. And I guarantee it's going to happen again. We even said it back then, of course. But now that we know for sure that it came from the lab.
Yeah, man.
You don't think this stuff's happening again by accident or on purpose? It's happening again.
Yeah. And let's just face it. We kind of knew for sure then as well.
It may have been closer to our conspiracy segment at the time.
Right. But it's like you're telling me that they have a virology lab in the same place where this thing started. That's just an accident, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, from Ireland, Thomas.
Hey,
God bless. Welcome. 40 in the morning, 12:45 in the morning. Oh my!
I love the comments though. It's like if you truly love your neighbor, you'll wear 3 masks and eye goggles, and it's like, Mark, you're already out of date, man. It's 4 masks and a face shield. And so if you don't wear 4 masks and a face shield, you hate your neighbor. And then tomorrow it'll be 6 or whatever. Like it's just a moving target all the time. It's just insane.
It is. It was a doctor who on TV, it was an interview, said that 4 masks are going to prevent the most or keep the chance the most from you getting it, which is funny because now it flipped, because before the face mask was for the other people, but now it's 4 masks for you.
Right. If you wear 4, though, it flips the whole script. Now it's for you. It's like even it's for you, odd it's for them. So if you get 5 masks, then it's for them.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And if you say anything against it, you're going to get censored, which is even crazy because now censors like just going off the rails altogether. I don't even know if we'll be able to stream anywhere next week. I even saw Facebook today start removing Facebook groups that were investing in GameStop. So now you can't even be on Facebook and lobby for GameStop stock.
It's so crazy, man. This GameStop situation, it just, everything about it just makes me smile.
I know. It's so great.
I'm kind of a gamer. I'm not like a hardcore gamer, but like I like video games, you know. And I've actually shopped at GameStop within the last 12 months. It's a horrible store, but I shopped at GameStop because it's local. You know what I mean? Right. And I bought something for my kids there, and it's a horrendous store. There's no value. That company will be bankrupt. It'll go out of business very, very soon.
Yeah,
it's horrible. There's no way it can compete. It's just the worst possible business model in this era.
Right.
That being said, this whole situation earlier today, that a share of stock in GameStop was worth more than Apple and Microsoft combined.
Yeah. At one point today, it topped the Russell 2000 as being the most valued stock.
It's just a bunch of memers, man. It's just crazy.
It's up 60% after hours today, over $300 again.
These people, man, and then it's just like, well, we got to do something about this. This is market manipulation. Totally market manipulation. It's just a bunch of alt-right racist hackers that are doing this.
This is my question, though, is if someone on Reddit, and then I guess it's 200,000 Discord members, if that is market manipulation, then what is Mad Money giving stock tips on TV to millions of people? Like, do they realize where this logic's going to go? It's crazy. But when you lose $40 billion in a week, you start thinking irrationally.
Hold on 1 second here.
Yeah, no problem. You got your son. $40 billion. And so while he's doing that, I'll tell you what happened for those of you who aren't sure what happened, because I hear a lot of people trying to figure it out. There's this thing called shorting of stock, and the big Wall Street guys, the hedge funds and all that good stuff, they make a lot of money where they will bet that the stock's going to go down, and then they'll go on TV, and then they'll go on their blogs and then talk trash about how terrible that business is and that you should short them and you should sell your stock.
That's totally legitimate, not market manipulation.
No,
anyway.
Not at all.
Totally legitimate. There was a movie about this on Amazon. That dude, Bill Ackman, he shorted Herbalife and then made an entire movie and did multiple presentations where he invited media and spent thousands and probably millions of dollars on this, trashing the company. Yeah. It's a horrible company. I agree with him, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. Right. So that happened. And then this Reddit board, like, hey, that's my company. That's GameStop. I like video games.
They were like me. They're like, I just bought my Nintendo Switch there the other day.
I know. I don't care if it's a 1990s business model selling 1980s technology. I don't care. We're going to buy.
Matt, what's so funny about this is that GameStop, I don't know how much you know about video games at all, but GameStop is a notorious meme for another reason, because if you go to sell your used games to GameStop, they'll give you like $1. Like, it's like, okay, I know this game is like the hottest game ever, but I'll give you 25 cents. Like it's a horrible company in almost every way. Except they sell video games.
You're right.
Like people go there to buy video games.
Right. And so basically what happened is The big money went to short the stocks, tank the stocks, but then these guys, 200,000 retail investors, which is the average Joes like you and me, said, I'm taking my $600 stimulus check and whatever else money I can find in the couch, and I'm buying some $5 shares of GameStop.
Right.
And $300 a share later, the institutions have lost $40 billion as of today.
Right, because here's the thing about shorting stocks that a lot of people don't realize. Like when you buy a stock normally, the most you can lose is what you buy. Like if it's $100 stock and you buy one share, the most you can lose is $100. They go out of business, it's worth zero. But when you're shorting a stock, you can lose infinite money because if it keeps going up, you still have to cover all that money. So it's like a very risky thing. Most people don't do it because it's super risky.
And there's a time element to it as well.
Right. There's a time element to it as well. Yeah. And you have to have tons of capital just in case the time element doesn't work in your favor. Mm-hmm. So,
that's the other thing that's really funny about this is because they were at such a loss, these institution investors, to cover the difference, had to buy GameStop stock to cover the margins, which further increased the stock price.
Right. So you're like in a terrible situation when this happens, when you're betting on the stock going down and it doesn't work out for you. It's a very bad situation to be in.
Yeah.
But this is like epically bad.
This is epically bad.
It doesn't get much worse than this.
No, it's the equivalent of your older teenage brother coming and like sitting on top of you and hitting you with your own fist in the face and saying, "Quit hitting yourself! Quit hitting yourself!" They just had to keep buying and buying and hitting themselves in the face. It was hilarious.
Right. So this is the thing though. This is the thing that's kind of scary about it. It's like, okay, we're all having a good laugh at the expense of the hedge funds, and their business is ruined. They're bankrupt. They're having to take huge loans and stuff like that. Whatever. So that's bad for them, and we're all having a good laugh about it. But here's the thing, though: these apps and these brokers are now forcing people either to sell or at least they just can't buy, and so they're strongly incentivizing selling. And so they're skewing and rigging the game in favor of the hedge funds.
Actual market manipulation.
And that's real market manipulation. Because if you go to your broker and you can no longer buy anymore, but they say, but you can sell. You can sell. Let's not forget that you can sell.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do is drive the price down. And that's actual market manipulation, but they're doing it brazenly. They don't even care.
Yeah. Well, they had a lot of confidence from the election fraud. So they're like, hey, why don't we just do this in finance?
Right. Which is amazing.
It is amazing. I saw one screenshot of a guy. He had 500 shares. It was something like that, 500 shares. And they forced him to sell them all for his own good.
That. Was that real?
I'm assuming it's real.
It looked real.
It's the internet. I mean,
right. Who knows? But it looked real.
It looked real. It looked like the notices I get from Robinhood, because I'm still on there, in which I shorted the stock yesterday. Just full disclosure, because it's a bubble, baby.
Because obviously it's a worthless business.
Of course, it's a 1990s business model selling 1980s stuff. But they didn't just force him to sell; they sold it at the lowest point of the day.
Yep. That's insane, man.
Insane.
It's absolutely insane. I mean, that has to be criminal, right, Matt? I mean, I don't know about this.
Of course it does. But here's the thing that I've learned in 2020 and 2021. We are not a nation of laws anymore. And this is probably a good thing to talk about. Right. The laws are not laws anymore. They're tools for the government to use against their enemies. And that's what we're seeing with guy getting prosecuted for a meme from 4 years ago.
It's insane. It's insane the stuff that's been exposed. We kind of all knew that politics was a scam. We kind of all knew that the financial markets were, rigged. We kind of knew that, and we kind of tried to work within that system. We knew that the Wall Street guys had the advantage, but we could still figure out how to work through that system, whatever.
Yeah, we could ride the waves.
Right, we could ride the waves. We could, all that stuff. But now it's open knowledge for everyone. Everyone knows, and it's so clear, and there's no hiding it anymore. It's first the politics was revealed in the election. It's just so clear. Nobody Nobody can hide it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and even the news reports that are coming out now, like even some states are saying like, yeah, we got to change the law because clearly a lot of illegal voting happened. But it's like after the fact, so who cares? Right, Virginia, right. And so it's like, it's open now. It's like, okay, so this is all a scam in every way. Like my broker can just be like, you can't do this anymore. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And this is funny because it's just so outrageous. It is absolutely outrageous. I mean, GameStop people.
It's totally outrageous.
But this is a battle in the umbrella of the war. It is. And you just got to think about it. It was 2016. The same thing happened with the election with Donald Trump. No one thought he was going to win, but everyone said, screw the institutions, screw the government. You're not going to tell me who's going to be my president. We're picking the most lewd, unpresidential person we know. And then 2020 happened. The institutions came back and said, oh, yeah, we're going to rig the election. You have no chance. Social media said, screw you, social media. You're not going to censor us. We're going to go to Parler. And then what happened with Parler? The institutions came in, kicked them out. And the same thing's going to happen with this. Screw you, hedge funds, you market manipulators. We're going to show you. And guess what's going to happen next? We're not going to be able to invest anymore.
These people are going to be cleaned out, and they're going to come up with all these burdensome rules where normies, won't be able to invest anymore.
Yeah, we should call ourselves that. That's like a Boston term, isn't it? Normies?
I don't know, but it's just something I see on the internet. But like normal people, like you and me, will have such onerous boundaries to this. Like maybe we can get by, but most people won't be able to.
Right.
And it's just insane. It's absolutely insane. And the thing that I love about the GameStop situation is we're all having a good laugh about it, but it's exposing like honestly, let me just say this: like the stuff that the Reddit group was doing happens all the time. You just don't hear about it, and it's not normies doing it typically.
Yeah, it's the billionaires.
It's the billionaires that all get together. They have a good laugh in their weirdo parties, and they figure out how to do this, and they do it openly. It's not like a secret. Again, we were talking about people that short stocks and what they do about, how they trash the stock once they short it. Mm-hmm. It's open. They don't hide it. There's no reason to for them.
Right.
And but if you do it, you're not in the guild. It's the same thing with Big Eva. You're not in the guild. You're not part of our team. I didn't see you at the last orgy, so like you can't do this.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly right. And it's the same thing of what I was just saying with the election, with social media, and with financial markets is what podcasts and what we're doing with Big Eva. The problem is Big Eva's impotent and they have no recourse, so they don't know what to do with us.
Yeah,
that's the only difference. That's why we're able to survive, is they have no power.
Yeah, I don't know though. Russell Moore though, he might get in on some of that Biden power. You know what I mean? So he might be able to shut us down sooner or later. I don't know.
I know he looked pretty confident in that feminine pose he had in corner office.
Joe Biden. I can't believe that picture. Like every picture I see of him, it's like worse than the last.
Yeah. Exactly right. Oh my gosh. Do you think any of them are starting to feel bad about their arguments about being pro-abortion and how it's actually going to save lives at this point?
I'm shaking my head no, just kind of involuntarily, but like I don't think so.
It's like how many executive orders to increase abortions do we have to have before you start realizing that your argument was trash?
Like maybe I shouldn't have done this. Yeah. Like I don't think they think in that way. I just don't think that they that's part of their calculus. I think that they're all about, honestly, I'm going to give, so some people I think are bad actors. I think Russell Moore is a secret operative. I think he's a bad actor, but most guys, I'll give them this. They think that surviving this turmoil is the best move. Like they think that they're doing the church a favor by like maneuvering in such a way that they can still survive. And it's a mistaken thing. It's pragmatic and mistaken. I don't think they're right about this, but like I think a lot of them are trying to do the right thing.
They're playing the long game, quote unquote.
Like the long game, right? That's exactly how I'd put it. Yeah. And they're mistaken, and they're doing the wrong thing. But I think I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. A lot of the guys are just trying to do that. They're just trying to survive. Because they can't fathom being a deplorable person. like us, because they don't. I'll never forget this. Neil Shenvi said this to me. I don't think I'm talking behind his back or anything, but like, and maybe, and if I am, I'm sorry. I guess I'm gonna sin boldly here. But like, he was shocked. He was talking to me privately, and he expressed a lot of shock that I've changed anybody's mind. He's like, have you really changed people's mind? And I gave him I listed off like a bunch of names, and he's like, he couldn't believe it. Because he's like, how could your non-winsome approach do this? You know what I mean? And I think that and I don't think Neil is a bad actor, but what I'm saying is a lot of the guys think like that, where they're like, if people see me as this dirty, like evil fundamentalist, I'm never going to be able to change anyone's mind.
Right.
And it's like, I kind of get that temptation, because I want to be liked. I want to be respected, you know, but I don't think people respect I think they're mistaken on who people respect. I don't think people respect someone that's like trying to play ball. I think they respect someone that sounds like they believe what they're saying.
Right. Absolutely.
Even if they hate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got a lot of people that hate watch my videos. Do you have any of those?
Of course I do.
Yeah. I think people like that though. Like they actually like you, Matt. They like the people that hate watch your videos respect you, because they're like, man, this guy's an idiot, but like, at least he just says it. You know what I mean?
I forgot that one movie is like, I hate you, but I respect you. I think it was like Vin Vaughn who had that line.
Yeah.
Something.
I kind of respect him.
But yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and you know, it's like pragmatic language. It's the pragmatic actions of I'm going to act this way, but it's in speech. Is I'm just going to be very pragmatic and nice, and we're going to have long conversations, and eventually they'll come around and see my way. It just doesn't work in real life like that. And I think a great example of this, just from a practical perspective on geopolitics, is everyone thought Trump was going to start wars with his language, didn't start one. And as soon as Biden comes in the office, the most squished guy in the world, China's threatening to take over Taiwan now. So, I mean, obviously, that's a great example for us of just because you're being nice doesn't mean you're helping the situation whatsoever.
It's so true. It's so true. And personally, I believe that Trump was probably the most popular incumbent president that we've had in a long time. And I think there's a reason for that. And even people that disagree with him have to respect him more than the weasel language of a guy like Joe Biden. Yeah. Like the guy just speaks weasel. You know what I mean? And everyone can see it. And everyone can see that he's just a puppet. He's not actually necessarily saying what he thinks. He's just saying whatever they tell him to say. Right. And everyone can see it. And when you look at Trump, it's like he clearly wasn't doing that. You know, he might have been fooled by a few people. He might have had some bad advice. Mm-hmm. I totally think he did. But like he didn't speak weasel in that same way. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And even if you hated what he was saying, it was like, well, I mean, he clearly believes it though.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I never heard, out of all the things that he got accused of, I never heard of him being fake.
Yeah, no, totally. He was literally Hitler.
Mm-hmm. I know. He was literally Hitler. I know. Oh my gosh, it's out. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when these Bernie bros that are all upset about the stock market, because they're starting to do the, what is it called? Occupy Wall Street 2.0 now. And
are they doing that?
They are doing that. It's going to be interesting when they connect the dots to the election or the rigging of the financial markets with the election market. So what's going to happen then? Yeah. No one likes Biden. I mean, no one likes Biden. Not even the Democrats like Biden, right? I mean, he can't even put a pen in his jacket.
So, well, I'll tell you what. That was a crazy time. I was actually my office. I was in staffing at a company, and my office was on Wall Street at the time of Occupy Wall Street. It was a weird time, and there's a lot of weirdos and smelled bad down. You know, a lot of homeless-looking guys there. You know, They weren't homeless; they were just hippies. But anyway, as far as that, what you're saying, I think. So a lot of like the Q people that follow you, Matt, because you're a weirdo conspiracy theorist.
I know. I do have a lot of Q people that follow me.
Yeah. But a lot of the Q people had this idea that I never quite understood. And I think that there's an element of the Q people that were kind of they weren't hippies, but they were like, you know, everyone deep down is just loving, and they have the same goals. And those people would often say that there potentially could be an alliance between people like the Black Lives Matter people and the Patriots. And I never understood that. I was like, that's insane. There could be no alliance. They're on totally different wavelengths. Yeah. But I'm starting to see the logic there a little bit, because the Black Lives Matter people, like these bank guys and these hedge funds, like they're enemies of them as well. And I could kind of see a little bit of that alliance thing happening where it's like, all right, well, we're all going to be in these Reddit things and we're all going to raid these stocks. And you know what I mean? Like, we're all going to be against it. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not saying that there's going to be unity there, but like, it's weird because all of a sudden I find myself agreeing with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez today.
No, Ted Cruz, AOC, Donald Trump Jr. We're all agreed.
I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like AOC, like AOC's a weirdo, and I don't want to agree with her, but I had to today. It's like it's unbelievable what they're doing.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about a populist movement is you're basically saying the people decide, and as Christians, we're saying no, that's not what happens.
Yeah,
but there's been so much screwing by the institutions of the people that a lot of the things that we as Christians say, the populists are saying. Yeah. And so I think because Antifa and BLM are still rioting to this day. They didn't stop rioting. They're just not covering it, right?
Right.
And they're starting to go to Wall Street. And then the populist people and then the Christians are saying, whoa, you're cheating us. Or, hey, your rigged system, it needs to come down. Now we're all in alignment. Weirdly, the issue to me. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You're on a roll. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, like, I think that this is actually going to take shape and form, and there is going to be this alliance, quote unquote, whatever it looks like. I'm not sure. The question is going to be is who controls the rebuilding of what gets burned down. I don't think any of us that are paying attention to this think that the system as it is in Wall Street and politics and the big tech, any of us think it should stay the way it is. So it's going to come burning down. But who gets to control the rules and how it gets rebuilt? That's the question.
Yeah, and I think you're actually absolutely right. There's like for me there will be no alliance with Black Lives Matter and Antifa, obviously, but you know, like it's that's not to say that some of their enemies might not be my enemies. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying that, but there won't be any alliance. But at the same time, Christians need to be able to find their nerve and to say, okay, so we do actually need to build stuff, though. I saw Andrew Torba from Gab. Today he just tweeted something that was just off the cuff, but he's kind of serious. He's like, I guess we're gonna have to build our own stock market then. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, well, kind of. I guess so. I mean, but like you have to have enough Christians that are willing to do stuff like that. And I just hope that that there's enough infrastructure in the Christian community to have the will to do something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and see, this is the interesting thing, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying, and I wanted to harp on that a little more about not having laws anymore. But you think it's hard to build a social media site and now put financial regulations on top of that. Yeah. Like building your own stock exchange or building your own even trading platform is impossible. Yeah. Like the idea of Robinhood democratizing the trading is that's their niche that they try to go after. And I have to say, I feel actually bad now looking back. I promoted it on the show, like, oh, this is great free trades on my business show, not on Reformgelical. And now I'm just thinking back, like, there is no possible way that would have been true because the hoops that you have to jump through, the companies that you have to align with are all the institutional investors and the hedge funds, the Wall Street bankers. There's no way it's for the little people if you make it. It's for the big guys. It's just veiled. That's all it is. And that's what this is. So I don't know what the answer is, but I do know this is that we can have capitalism and free markets without the New York Stock Exchange. We don't need a publicly traded place to publicly trade companies. We can buy and sell private companies. We can make private transactions on our own. We just don't even need it.
That's right. We don't. Not only do we not even need it, but in some ways it can be a hindrance because people think capitalism and they think Wall Street, and what we're seeing right now is clearly that's not the case. It's not necessarily a free market. If Robinhood, whose entire mission is to have it be a free market for people, will stop you from buying a stock if it hurts a hedge fund, like that's actually not a free market. Just FYI.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's crazy about it is so they have their own platform and they buy and sell stocks at bulk on the back end. And they do it with companies like named Citadel, which is one of the companies that lost billions of dollars from these shorts. So, do you think there's a conflict of interest there?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I wonder. It's so blatant that I wonder if the Biden administration won't have to do something
No, they
about
won't.
it.
Why? They just did it with the election.
That's a
They
good
just
point.
did it with
What am I talking
Facebook.
about? They
There's no
just stole an
rules.
election.
I'm telling you, like it's so hard. And even in my mind, I will start operating as if it's not true, but we have to start like restructuring our brains
You're right.
because we
You're
don't
right.
want like it's just ingrained in us of law and order. We're a nation of laws. We're not. We're not a nation of laws anymore. And as Christians, we have the law of God to submit to, and we must obey that. It's not total anarchy. But we got to stop pretending like we need to obey the laws that our enemy is not obeying at all.
Yeah, you're so right. And what you just demonstrated was something that I talk to my brother all the time. I'll catch myself talking about like a news report or something as if it's like gospel, and it's got to be gospel because it's in an official news report. But I'm like, but I know that they're liars. You know what I mean? So it's just we're so indoctrinated into not really believing something until like Washington Post promotes it.
Right.
And it's like, but we know better. You know what I mean? Like we know that they lie, but yet it's very hard to deprogram yourself. And so thanks for catching me on that. But I catch myself doing that all the time.
Me too.
And it's like, what am I thinking about? Like I just said, like they would do something about it because it's obviously wrong.
Right.
Why?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also wrong to steal an election.
Yeah, exactly. And like there's a point where there's modesty and they won't go too far.
Right.
Nope. They stopped counting in 5 states at night at the same time.
Right.
There's no shame there.
And maybe they will do something or not, but it has nothing to do with what's right.
Yeah,
if it's expedient to them, maybe they will, but we have no idea what's expedient to them. Maybe the guy from Citadel just happens to be on their not so nice list. Who knows? But that's the only reason they'll do something.
Oh, here you go. So speaking of the senior advisor for Citadel, it's Ben Bernanke.
You gotta be kidding me.
He's the former Federal Reserve.
Yes, I know exactly. He was the Federal Reserve chairman during Occupy Wall Street.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly
people
right.
used to call me Ben Bernanke because I used to have a beard that looked. I used to look like him, sort of.
I could kind of see that. Maybe with some more gray hair on top or something, but
yeah, man.
Yeah, Ben Bernanke. And you know who Citadel paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I think upwards. I think it was around $7 million over the last 3 or 4 years. Janet Yellen, our new Treasury Secretary.
So clearly, there will be nothing done.
Nope.
But like,
they're all in on it too.
They're all in on it. They all go to the same weirdo parties where they have their little. I don't know. I'm not even. It's unspeakable what they do. But there's nothing going to be done. Nothing. Nope. These are all connected people.
Yeah. And so this is the thing. So not only do we need to figure out as Christians how to operate under God's law, which I think we should be developing in future episodes too, is how do we honor God and at the same time don't become disadvantaged in these battles where we're adhering to laws that man's made. Now, I'm not saying the ones that God's made, but the ones that don't have to do with God's law, but that man's made, that they use against us, but don't hold themselves accountable to. I think just right now, and I could be proven wrong, that we have no obligation to abide by laws that are not in conflict with God, that the people in government themselves don't hold themselves to. How do you feel about that?
We got to be shrewd. That's how I feel about it. We got to learn how to be shrewd.
Yep. And it goes, and while you're thinking about that, it's not like, okay, screw you, man, and I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory like El Paso with that one cult or whatever, right? And at the same time, like you're saying, we have to be shrewd and wise. Pick your battles, pay your income tax, do the things that you're not going to win fights over. But I just saying, don't automatically feel obligated to abide by these laws written that aren't in line with God and they're not following themselves.
I'm not going to say that I've done this in case anybody's listening.
Hypothetically.
If someone were to ask you on a tax form, say a state government of some kind, were to ask you on a tax form, have you made any purchases outside of the state that we should know about? Because we're going to tax you 8%. Any large purchases like a television, maybe a couch, something like that? and they ask you on the tax return, and you think in your head, there's no way they could ever figure this one out. It is totally fine, I think, biblically, to be like, no, good luck. Good luck figuring that one out. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't, but I'm going to check no here. I'm not saying I've done anything like that, but that's the kind of thing I think you're talking about, Matt, where it's like, you don't necessarily have to go along with all of their insane schemes. If the robber says, do you have any other money in this house that I can take from you?
Right.
You don't necessarily have to be honest about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, hey, you have to bake this cake. Or, hey, did you get your vaccine? Or all of these different things that
where's your firearm, Matt, for the mandatory buyback?
Yeah, dude.
Got lost in a boat accident.
Oh,
I was just on the boat and I just had it on me because I was afraid of sharks.
Yeah, no, it was a fan boat and crocodiles because I'm in Florida, but the same thing. Yeah,
there you go. I was crocodiles. I was scared of crocodiles, and then wouldn't you know it, the darndest thing happened. We hit a rock and it just went into the water, and I was scared of the crocodile, so I didn't go after it.
Yeah, would you? I mean, it's
crazy. This is insane. What are the chances, Mr. Officer?
Yeah, exactly right. And these are the exact things that I think we need to be thinking about and start becoming shrewd about. And part of that is thinking beforehand of what's happening. Because if you haven't noticed, this censorship and these restrictions coming down is happening at a faster rate. It's not just happening quickly, it's happening faster and faster. And so we need to have a theology that can match and just address the things that we're going to be facing.
Shrewdness but here's the thing, guys. Like, okay, some of you guys, I know this because I've said this exact kind of thing on my channel before, and I get responses, and sometimes I get concerned emails. I'm not trying to make fun of you. I really am not. I get concerned emails of people saying, but Adam, like, you're not supposed to lie. It's you shall not lie. You should not bear false witness. And it's like, I get it. But here's the thing, guys. Like, I don't agree that it's required to just answer any question that a government official asks you. It's not required. I don't believe that. But I'm willing to say I might be wrong about some of that stuff. But here's the thing. I'm living like a free man because Christ has set me free. I don't think that it's necessarily expedient for me to answer every question that the government asks me when it's outside of their purview. I don't think God requires that for me. But if I'm wrong, I'm confident that I'm covered. And we got to start living in that way where we do what we think is right according to our first order of operations of who we obey. The person we fear the most is God. And if we're wrong, people are going to criticize you maybe, and people are going to be like, what are you doing? But you got to understand, you got to act like a free man. Christ has covered you. This is what Luther was talking about when he was talking about sin boldly. Like, I don't want to sin. I don't want to do anything wrong. But if I do, I'm covered. And so I can actually live like a free man. And maybe I got one of these things wrong. Maybe I should have told them that I bought a TV in, Nebraska or something. I don't think I should have, but maybe I should have. And if I did, and if I should have, I'm covered. You know what I mean? Like, we got to start taking some chances here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's wonderfully said. And it's just, in my book, it is just as much a sin to let tyrants be tyrants too. And that we should also remember along the lines of what you were saying is God's not scared of our sin. He dealt with our sin. He hates our sin, but he's not like, oh my gosh, I hope he doesn't sin too much. And in the same time, like, we shouldn't have that fear too. We should be passionately pursuing Christ and doing the best we can and following him and not wanting to sin, not just because it's wrong, but because if we don't sin, we're doing the best. Like, that's God has the best for us of not sinning. But if we do, we're covered and God can pick us up again and we can go forward. There's no condemnation in Christ Jesus. But there is like something to be said about being a coward and not fighting and throwing away our birthright and our inheritance that we're supposed to leave to our children because the tyrants are coming. And that's where we're at right now.
That's so right. And again, like, I think it's just like, we gotta get each other's backs here a little bit. You know what I mean? And I know that there were some pastors that were like gleefully celebrating pastors getting arrested for meeting during the coronavirus. Like, we got to stop that nonsense. Like we got to get each other's backs here. We definitely do. Like, Like Christ and his kingdom and your brothers in the Lord come first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And if they do something obviously wrong, of course, like, you know, if somebody murders someone, I'm not going to get their back in that way. But like, but if it's something like I didn't pay all my taxes, come on, man. Like, let's just get real. And we just got to be smart about things, man. We got to be smart about things. We got to consider everything that could happen. Someone in the comments is saying like they could follow the purchase. Yeah, I considered that. And yeah, they possibly could, you know, I'm sure they got connections with Visa, whatever. But I figured that they probably wouldn't. They probably don't have the money for it. They don't have the time for it. And so honestly, the way I said it was like, if you could figure this one out, I'll pay it.
Yeah.
I won't even complain. And you could even have a little bit of, you've earned it. You could even have a little extra penalty if you want. Right. I'll pay it. Yeah. But I'm not going to offer that information just so you can steal money from me. I'm not going to do that.
And that's where the shrewdness comes into play. What you're talking about is there's an opportunity cost and a cost benefit analysis, and we need to be able to be using those tools effectively. We need to use those tools effectively. And the last thing I'll say about this whole thing with like lying or those kinds of sins where just it seems like it's something that's wrong and sinful to do, but not always in situations. For example, when David ate the showbread in the temple, or when Jesus violated the Sabbath. So there is some precedent for this. Not that it's the rule, but there are exceptions to the rules. And at least for me in my framework and how I think about this is I will lie when I'm thinking that the lie is loving someone else. It's loving my wife. It's loving my kids. I'm not saying I'm a liar and I always lie, but if there's a certain situation like they're coming to take my wife, no, they're not here, I'm going to lie, but I'm not lying to cover my sin or to make myself look better. It's not a self-focused sin. I'm doing it to love my wife. And so I think that in the sinful world that we live in, we're going to be faced with these kinds of scenarios. And so in my mind, I've resolved that I'm going to lie. I'm going to kill somebody if I'm loving somebody else. And then I mean, like, if they're going to come try to take my kids away from me because they have COVID or I have COVID and they're going to try to take them into a detention center, then I'm going out guns blazing. And I feel very comfortable with shooting and killing someone who's trying to take my family from me.
I mean, yeah,
right.
It's kidnapping, man.
Yeah, it's kidnapping. So yeah, I'm killing somebody, but I'm really actually loving my family by not letting them take them away at the same time.
You got so hardcore. I wish we could watch. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll watch one of our first broadcasts ever and compare it to today. You've gotten hardcore, man. I don't know what happened to you, man. Like,
careful, you're gonna go the other way. You were the hardcore one, and now you're squish. You got the glasses on and everything.
This is great. No, this is great. I'm glad to be back. What did we miss 2 weeks in a row? I think.
Yeah,
man. I'm glad to be back, man. I really am.
Yeah, it's a good show. Someone was asking why don't we live stream on Gab? It's because Gab does not have the capabilities yet. I would love to, especially since I have been getting my YouTube videos taken down. I've had 2 YouTube videos taken down this week. Oh, no. Absolutely crazy. One of them was for false advertising and inciting violence. I was literally reviewing the laws in California, reading an article that was quoting the sections of the election law.
Well, in fairness, reading the law of California does incite violence.
Yeah, it is true. But it's just, again, there's no rules. Like, we're not living by laws anymore. We're a lawless society that's rejected God, rejected Christ, and all those sentences are on pieces of paper are tools to punish the enemies. It is not for justice.
They just want they have set up a system where at any time any one of us could be arrested for anything. Like if somebody can get arrested for a meme from 2016, I've posted a lot of memes. You've posted a lot of memes. Like at any moment, if they just decide, I don't like that Matt Williams, they could find a meme that could be just as offensive as the memes that guy was posting.
I'm pretty sure I retweeted that meme too. I remember which one it was.
I don't, but
oh my gosh,
I can't wait to see it.
10 years. I could get 10 years.
Unreal,
it's terrible.
It's crazy stuff.
It is crazy. And it's funny is like that. So that was a meme about saying, hey, Hillary Clinton supporters, you could just text your vote to this number and that counts as a vote. And so that's what they got him for. Obviously, I mean, if you fall for that, you shouldn't vote anyways because you're an idiot and you should have some kind of standard to vote. Yeah. But the internet today was reposting it with opposite side selection of doing it to Trump supporters. And do you know they got arrested? Nope.
Well,
Nope.
obviously not.
No. That's what I think about, again, this thing that's happening with GameStop, this thing with the election. This is not the end. This is culminating. This is knocking out every single institution that we have. And just like we were talking about in 2020 about God's judgment revealing the wheat from the chaff, especially in the church, for some reason, into 2020 to 2021 has been government, where it's all becoming the light of how big of a fraud and fantasy we've been living in. And these Antifa people and a lot of these people in the populist movement aren't going to take kindly to this. And it's just worse because there's no redress for them. It's over, and they know it. So
well, I'm just hoping I can get some sick gains from First Majestic Silver Corporation. I don't know. We're up, and after hours trading, we were up 13%. So,
are you really? Is that the trading symbol? I don't know if that's that one specifically, but SLV silver was supposed to be the next one. They were going to try to get to $1,000.
Yeah, I don't own. What company is that? Yeah, I don't own SLV. I own AG and MAG.
Yeah, it's almost $24. So this is what's going to happen, and this is not financial advice whatsoever. If they can hold GameStop to $300 or above at the end of close tomorrow, then they lose like billions more. And so I think they're holding out until then. And in my opinion, I don't know this to be true, obviously, but I think they're going to sell after Friday. So next week they're selling, and then they're going to go for the other stocks like silver and things like that. That's my guess.
This is so crazy. So like a lot of these guys are probably having to open up brokerage accounts with other companies, but like not all of them are necessarily going to let them.
Right. Well, no, even India. There was a group of investors from India that bought into the GameStop stuff yesterday.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
Indian people are so funny, and like they jump in on this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they're all about it. They love the techie stuff. So it's going to be really interesting.
And they love internet culture, man. I love that.
I know. I mean, technology. There's been so much suppression on so many different things. Mm-hmm. It seriously is like trying to keep a ball underwater. It was just a matter of time before it came up, and that's what we're starting to see. Which, buckle up and get ready. But what I was going to say is, so what I think I'm going to do is just short all of these things. So, like with GameStop, I just bought a put option. Yeah. And I just did it for like 6 months out because obviously it's a bubble. It's a trash company. These retail investors aren't going to hold on to it that long. No. And I'll probably do that for silver. If they're able to get it up to $1,000 again, I'm not going to be part of that because who knows how high they're going to get it. But then I'll just short silver again because there's no way it's going to stay at 1,000. And I think that could be an interesting strategy. Little hot tip.
I don't know, man. But like to me, GameStop is the most obvious one to short. It's not financial advice. Because I know about GameStop, it's totally worthless. Like, there's no way it can survive very much longer. Put it this way: GameStop put out I'll never forget this ad. This is how inept they are, in my opinion. They put out an ad. It was like, get today's hottest games for like 20% off. It was like around Christmas, right? So I was like, okay, maybe it's an actual sale, because that's not unheard of. 20% off around Christmas.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about getting a Mario game for my son. And I click the link, and you know what they're selling?
What?
Used copies of the game for 20% off. That's not a sale. That's the used price. But they told me it was a sale when I got there.
Market manipulation.
It's market manipulation. That's why the stock was $3 at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, $3.
Now it's worth more than Microsoft.
Dude, you know what's funny is when you're a publicly traded company, there's like some hoops you have to jump through if you're like the CFO or CEO to sell your stock. You have to like announce it or something ahead of time. Sure. I bet they're doing everything they can to rush that through. Like, let's just sell now. Get it all out. I'm done. Golden parachute. This is our only chance.
This is their only shot. Otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen.
Another 20% off sale.
20% off used game. That's the normal price for a used game, but they're still marketed as 20% off. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, it's been great having you guys back. Thank you for everyone watching live. For those of you who are watching on podcast or Gab or YouTube, if we're still there tomorrow, you can join us live streaming 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, Thursdays. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next time. God bless.
This guy, Eric, I didn't